right, so get ready because today we are going...
Deep diving.
Yes, deep diving into something pretty wild.
Yeah.
It's Jack Dorsey, the Twitter guy and Block,
Yeah.
and his connection to Bitcoin.
Oh, yeah.
But specifically, we are going to explore the theory that Dorsey is Satoshi Nakamoto,
Oh, wow.
Bitcoin's mysterious creator.
That's the question on everybody's mind.
Yeah, so we've got all these recent articles.
Yeah, a bunch of them.
And they're full of wild coincidences.
Wild.
But we're going to be looking at this with a critical eye.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Of course.
Have to.
There's a lot of speculation.
Yeah, you got to separate fact from fiction.
Exactly. It is.
Yeah.
Okay, but some of these connections are just too crazy to ignore.
Too juicy, right?
Too juicy. Okay, so Bitcoin's first transaction supposedly happened on Dorsey's mother's birthday.
What?
And then Satoshi's last mine block lines up with Dorsey's father's birthday.
Whoa.
Come on. What are the odds?
That's pretty intriguing. It is definitely one of those threads that keeps this whole conspiracy theory alive. But correlation doesn't always equal causation.
Of course not.
There could be totally logical explanations for all of this.
True.
Yeah.
Okay, but let's not forget about Dorsey's fascination with cryptography and decentralized systems.
Oh, yeah. He's been into this stuff forever.
He's been into it forever. Like way back in college.
I know.
He even wrote this manifesto.
Oh, really?
About leaving a mark on the world without a trace.
Interesting.
It kind of sounds like Satoshi a little bit, right?
That's a great point. It does sound like Satoshi.
Yeah.
That manifesto from back in 2001, it really does foreshadow the whole anonymous nature of Satoshi Nakamoto.
Right.
And it really shows that early interest in all these concepts that totally align with the core principles behind Bitcoin.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, and then there's this whole thing about Satoshi's original Bitcoin source code. Documents being time-stamped at 4 a.m.
Okay.
Which just happens to be the same time
wow.
Dorsey once had on his Twitter profile. Seriously.
Oh, gosh.
Every little detail adds another layer to this whole puzzle.
Yeah, all those little details definitely add fuel to the fire.
Right.
But I think we got to be careful not to get too carried away.
Yeah.
It's easy to see patterns when they're not there.
Yeah.
Especially when we're dealing with something as mysterious as Satoshi Nakamoto.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
But here's where it gets really wild.
Okay.
Remember when Satoshi's email was hacked back in 2014?
Oh, yeah.
Apparently, the hacker tried to extort Satoshi.
Oh, no.
By threatening to reveal their connection to, wait for St. Louis, Missouri.
Whoa.
Dorsey's hometown.
No way.
Yeah.
That's a pretty big coincidence.
It is.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy.
Of course, we don't really know for sure if the hacker actually had any information or was just bluffing.
Yeah. Yep.
But it definitely adds another layer to this whole story.
For sure. It's like a real-life thriller.
Totally.
And then you've got that alleged Bitcoin address, starting with JD2M, which some people think stands for Jack Dorsey 2 Mint.
Okay.
Referencing his old residence at 2 Mint Plaza in San Francisco. Come on.
That's got to mean something.
It's got to mean something, right?
That's a pretty clever theory, but at the end of the day, it's just that a theory. You can't just jump to conclusions based on speculation, but it's fun to play detective sometimes.
Yeah, fun to play detective, totally.
It is.
Absolutely. Okay, speaking of connecting dots,
let's
not forget about Dorsey's very public support of Bitcoin.
Oh, yeah.
This guy's been singing Bitcoin's praises for years.
He loves it.
He loves it.
Yeah.
He even added Bitcoin tipping to Twitter.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I remember when he wore that Satoshi shirt at the Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah.
He's basically a walking Bitcoin billboard.
He's definitely one of Bitcoin's most vocal advocates.
For sure.
And his actions have for sure helped bring Bitcoin to the mainstream.
Right. Yeah. And his company Block holds a ton of Bitcoin.
I know they do.
And they're constantly developing these new tools to get more accessible.
It's true.
It's like everything Dorsey touches ends up connected to this decentralized future he keeps talking about.
His vision for the future of finance really aligns with Bitcoin's core principles.
Exactly.
Yeah, but whether that's a sign that he is Satoshi or just a reflection of his belief in the tech is still up for debate.
Okay, so we've got the birthdays, cryptic emails, a hometown connection, a mysterious Bitcoin address, and Dorsey's undeniable influence on crypto.
Yeah, it's a lot to process.
It's a lot to process.
But what does Dorsey himself have to say about all of this?
When correctly asked if he was Satoshi Nakamoto, Dorsey replied, No, and if I were, would I tell you?
Classic non-denial.
Totally.
Keeps the conspiracy theorists going.
Keeps them feeling strong.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely leaves room for interpretation, and when you consider the timing of Dorsey's involvement with Bitcoin, things get even more interesting.
Oh, you mean like when his interest in Bitcoin seemed to really ramp up right around the same time that Satoshi Nakamoto disappeared?
Exactly. It's almost as if Satoshi stepped back and then Dorsey stepped forward to champion the cause.
Oh, wow. It's like a secret society of tech visionaries working behind the scenes to change the world. Hey, maybe I'm getting a little carried away, but you have to admit it's a pretty compelling narrative.
It definitely captures the imagination, and it raises an important question about Dorsey's role in all of this, right? Is he just a passionate advocate for Bitcoin, or is there something more?
Is he carrying out Satoshi's vision, whether intentionally or not? And speaking of Satoshi, what about those 1.1 million Bitcoins that supposedly belong to them? Imagine the chaos if those were ever moved.
That's a scary thought that sends shivers down the spine of every crypto investor.
Yeah.
The market would go crazy, and it makes you wonder if Dorsey, assuming he is Satoshi, would ever consider cashing in on that digital gold mine.
Oh man, that would be the ultimate power move, right? To reveal himself as the creator of Bitcoin and then control a significant chunk of its value. Talk about disrupting the financial system.
Yeah, it would certainly be a seismic event, but let's not forget that Dorsey has consistently presented himself as a believer in decentralization and democratization of finance.
Okay, yeah.
It seems unlikely that he would want to undermine those principles by centralizing control of Bitcoin in his own hands.
Okay, true. But even if he never cashes in those Bitcoins, just knowing they're out there potentially under his control adds a whole new dimension to this whole story. It's like a ticking time bomb in the crypto world.
It definitely adds an element of suspense, and it raises questions about Dorsey's long-term plans for Bitcoin, right? Is he playing the long game, waiting for the perfect moment to make his move, or is he content to let Bitcoin evolve organically without his direct intervention?
It's like we're trying to read the mind of a tech mastermind.
Yeah.
But that's what makes this whole deep dive so fascinating. We're dealing with a complex web of technology, finance, and human psychology. And at the center of it all is this enigmatic figure who seems to hold the keys to the future.
It's a story that has captivated the world for over a decade, and even if we never definitively uncover the truth about Satoshi Nakamoto's identity, the speculation and debate surrounding it will likely continue for years to come.
Absolutely. It's the kind of mystery that keeps people up at night scouring the internet for clues and debating theories in online forums. And who knows, maybe someday a piece of evidence will surface that definitively proves or disproves the Dorsey-Satoshi connection.
Until then, we're left to analyze Dorsey's actions, his words, and the subtle hints he may or may not be dropping about his true involvement with Bitcoin.
It's like a giant game of cryptographic cat and mouse played out on the global stage, and we're all just trying to keep up, but regardless of whether Dorsey is Satoshi or not, there's no denying that he's had a profound impact on the evolution of Bitcoin.
Yeah, his companies have been instrumental in driving adoption. His investments have fueled innovation, and his public pronouncements have shaped the narrative surrounding cryptocurrency.
And it's not just about the technology itself. It's about the broader implications for the future of finance, the internet, and society as a whole.
Dorsey's vision seems to align with this idea of a decentralized future where power is distributed among the people rather than concentrated in the hands of governments and corporations.
That sounds pretty radical, but how does that actually play out in the real world? What would a decentralized future look like, and how might Bitcoin be a part of it?
Imagine a world where you have complete control over your own data and your online identity. Instead of relying on big tech companies to manage your information, you could store it securely on a decentralized network using blockchain technology.
Okay, I'm starting to see the bigger picture here. It's about giving individuals more power and autonomy. But how does Bitcoin fit into all of this? Isn't it just a digital currency?
Bitcoin is certainly a digital currency, but it's also a revolutionary technology that can be used for much more than just buying and selling things.
Like what? Give you some examples.
For starters, Bitcoin can be used to create decentralized financial applications, or DeFi for short.
DeFi?
These are applications that allow you to borrow, lend, and invest money without going through traditional financial institutions.
So it's like cutting out the middleman and giving people more control over their finances. I like it.
Exactly, and it doesn't stop there. Bitcoin's underlying technology, the blockchain, can be used to create secure and transparent systems for everything from voting to supply chain management to verifying digital identities.
Whoa, this is getting mind-blowing. It sounds like Bitcoin is more than just a currency. It's a foundation for a whole new way of organizing and interacting with the world.
That's a great way to put it. And Dorsey seems to be one of the few people who truly grasps the transformative potential of this technology.
So whether he's Satoshi or not, he's definitely playing a crucial role in shaping this decentralized future. But it's also important to acknowledge that not everyone is on board with this vision.
That's true. There are valid concerns about the potential risks and challenges of decentralization.
Like what?
For example, how do we ensure security and accountability in a decentralized system? And what about the potential for misuse by bad actors?
Those are important questions. It sounds like there's a lot to consider as we move towards this decentralized future, but it's exciting to think about the possibilities.
Absolutely, and that's what makes this entire deep dive so intriguing. We're not just exploring the mystery of Satoshi Nakamoto, we're grappling with some of the biggest questions facing humanity in the 21st century.
Yeah, it's like we're standing at this crossroads with one path leading us towards a more centralized, controlled world, and the other path leading us toward a more decentralized, open world. And Dorsey's putting all his chips in for the decentralized world.
He's definitely putting his money where his mouth is.
Yeah.
Through his companies, his investments, and all of his advocacy, he's really promoting the adoption of Bitcoin and all these other decentralized technologies.
And it's not just about Bitcoin itself, is it?
No, not really.
It's about these underlying principles of decentralization and how those can be applied to so many different systems.
Exactly. Like we were talking about before. We
Right.
touched on DeFi and decentralized identity and secure voting systems.
Yeah.
But the potential applications are pretty much endless. Imagine a world where social media platforms are owned and controlled by the users
Okay, Kat.
rather than these giant corporations, or where like artists and creators can directly connect with their audience and actually get paid fairly for their work without having to rely on all these intermediaries.
That sounds pretty amazing.
Yeah, it does.
It sounds very utopian.
It does.
But let's be realistic. There have to be challenges along the way, right?
Of course, decentralization is definitely not like this magic solution. It's a really complex process, and it requires a lot of thought planning and execution.
Uh-huh.
And there are those legitimate concerns about security scalability and misuse.
So it's not just about building cool new tech. It's also about thinking about those societal and ethical implications.
Exactly. And this is where I think the conversation about Dorsey's role gets really interesting. Whether or not he's Satoshi, he's definitely in this unique position where he can influence the direction of his whole movement. He has the resources, the platform, and the vision to really shape how these technologies are developed and how they're used.
It's a lot of responsibility.
It is.
And it makes you wonder what his end game really is. Is he truly committed to this idea of building a more equitable and decentralized world? Or is he just another tech giant
Yeah.
just trying to profit off the next big thing?
Yeah, that's the big question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Only time will tell, but one thing is certain. Dorsey's actions are making waves throughout the tech world and beyond.
Uh-huh.
He's inspiring other people to start exploring decentralization and to really think critically about the role of technology in our lives.
So even if we never solve the mystery of Satoshi Nakamoto,
Right.
this deep dive has given us a lot to think about. It's made us confront some really big questions about power control and the future of society.
Yeah, and that's the best part of it all. The search for truth often leads us down these unexpected paths, and it forces us to think about things differently.
Right.
Whether Jack Dorsey is the mysterious creator of Bitcoin or just a passionate advocate for a decentralized future, his story really shows how powerful ideas can be and the power of technology to change the world.
Well said. It's been an awesome journey exploring this topic. And for all of our listeners out there, we encourage you to keep the conversation going.
Yeah.
Dive deeper into the world of Bitcoin. Really research the principles of decentralization. And ask yourself how you might play a role in shaping this crazy landscape that's always changing.
Remember, the future is not set in stone. It's something that we create together through our choices, our actions, and our willingness to challenge the way things are.
And who knows, maybe someday we'll finally uncover the truth about Satoshi Nakamoto. But until then, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.